The reality is the brick and mortar lines and the offline online, they're all blurred, and our customers are looking for the fastest way to access us, the easiest way to understand what a new offer is or a new product is.
Hey, Todd, as we kind of think about what's necessary from a sort of omni-channel shopping journey, I wonder if you can give us a sense of what some of the core capabilities are that retailers and brands need to be thinking about, and then also within that, some of the big technology investments that companies need to be thinking about as well.
Sure. I think for us, we had, I would say, an older digital program where a lot of our focus was on kind of the one-off solutions and one-off initiatives. And we really took a step back and said we really needed to modernize our core infrastructure so that we had the ability to be much more nimble, much more omni-channel, much more microservices driven, much more API driven, to really give us much more much greater ability to experiment, but also much more kind of nimble rollout of different functionality, different pieces of our ecosystem, whether it's our marketing technology or our core e-commerce technology. It really was about building a more robust, more nimble foundation to really do digital well and to be able to kind of like do omni-channel well from here, but also 10 years from now. So that was probably the biggest investment, is getting a core platform in place to allow for that. Outside of that, it's really about how we can personalize the customer's journey through, customer data platforms and CRMs and a lot of those pieces. So you have really the brains of the operation to be able to message and to deliver offers effectively. How do you tie that into your loyalty programs? How do you tie that into your customer experience, pre-shop, shop, post-shop? So there's a lot of those things that we also we tied into that core infrastructure, but it's really about getting that core infrastructure right, and getting it much more robust was really the first place that we needed to start as we kind of looked at what the demands of digital and omni-channel really needed.
That's a really nice response, because I think, like, as you mentioned, the one-off, even if those experiences are useful in some way, if they're not kind of like connected together into something greater, then it can be a fractured experience, both from a operational point of view and then from a customer experience point of view as well.
Yeah, the friction that you introduce when you don't look that way can be quite humbling when it comes to the research that you do with your customers. The adoption of a service can be severely crippled if you just really can't get those friction points reduced, and you're really running into so much challenge when you can't kind of take that step back and do it holistically. It's a hard thing to do. It's a big investment, but you kind of go slow to go fast.
Hey, Todd. So with mobile serving as a kind of bridge between online and offline shopping, how do you see location? How do you see proximity enhancing the shopper experience?
So that's probably the area that is both really exciting, but also a little nerve-wracking when we kind of look at it today. It's so exciting when we think about, when you have omni-channel, you have the ability to order, you have the ability to, do a lot from different channels. But we look at mobile as really that channel to give you much more context about the user as they're getting ready to shop you. So what's their location? What are they doing? Are they out, running errands, or are they, walking into the store? The ability to kind of bring context into the overall experience is a really exciting part about mobile. And the ways to kind of play off that are really, really important. And the way to personalize the journey gets so exciting with that additional context. The challenge that we run into as well is because we are a business that have so many different walks of life, so many different customer segments that come to us on a regular basis. We also learn pretty quickly that there is a large population of people that turn off location services. There is a large, group of customers that will send their kid in for their order and their kid doesn't have their cell phone with them, or their parents' phone. So what we've learned is that there is an embarrassment of awesome opportunities that are available, but you also have to make sure that you have the way to gracefully kind of like, go away from location services if someone is not necessarily keeping that top of mind. We try to balance our experiences to both allow for a richer shopping occasion, but also not break the occasion if someone has decided to save some battery life by turning off their location services or their ad, or if it's IDFA and ad tracking. So there's a lot of things like that that we're very conscious of, that quite frankly, we took our lumps a couple of years ago when we were going much more aggressive in that space.
I think that's a great lesson for everybody who's watching. Maybe you can help us understand kind of how you see the role of mobile playing in the store, on the forecourt. I mean, what are the must-have capabilities a retailer's app or a retailer's mobile experience needs to offer?
Sure. So mobile is an interesting channel because I think, again, it's evolved in a lot of ways. And it also depends on whether you're talking about mobile web experiences versus mobile app experiences. So when we think about mobile web, again, it's the ability to deliver an experience quickly in a scaled down fashion that probably is someone that's trying to make a purchase in a hurry or in a purchase when they're out and about. But doesn't want to download a mobile app. So how can you give them as easy as an experience as you can to allow for speed, but we don't really know as much about them because it's not an app on their device. They haven't registered, things like that. So there's kind of like trying to understand the mobile web component versus the mobile app. On the mobile app, we're really, again, looking at speed. We're looking at context. We're looking at ways that we can we're trying to get to the point where we can be much more proactive about how we can utilize and display experiences based off of who you are, where you're at, and what kind of services that you've used in the past. A customer that comes in for fuel is very different than a customer that comes in for food. And, we operate very differently because we have an extremely good food offer, but we also have great fuel as well. So a lot of our conversations and a lot of the things and activities is like, again, how do you, one, understand the customer? How do you understand their context? How do you understand their previous shopping history? And then a lot of it is then how can we scale the mobile experience, because it can bring all those pieces together very elegantly to really, again, give them the best fueling experience they can get. Maybe we can also get our customers to come inside and try something new as well too. And then again, vice versa, if you're a customer that is really about the in-store experience, we also have a great fuel option as well. We also have EV chargers. We have a lot of things that we also do that we also want to make sure that you're aware of, to make sure that you can really get the full use out of that Wawa run and that Wawa shopping experience. So it's really about using that context, using those mobile phones capabilities to really adapt to the customer's needs based off of those three data points.
That's great. I love that idea of kind of using context to elegantly develop customer experience.
Todd, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the role of the front line within the context of the Wawa experience and some of the ways you as an organization are helping to sort of support and empower those employees.
Sure. I mean, take out mobile devices, web, whatever you want to do, really the secret sauce to the organization is and will always be our associates. So for us, there's no greater need than to understand where our associates fit in the overall customer journey. How can they help the journey? What is their journey as well too, to really make sure that we're able to kind of cater to experiences to, one, deliver the maximum impact. Do they understand their role? Can they champion that role? Can they help guide that role? How can we learn from them and make that overall journey better? Those are kind of crucial things. We know that our initiatives don't go well if our associates aren't a key part of it and aren't championing it every day. So, they are our front line. They are the most critical group to understand, the most critical group to satisfy, because ultimately they're able to then take that experience and then deliver it to the customer. And the smiles, the stories, the ways that our associates engage because they are empowered to, because they work with us on this stuff on a regular basis. Again, like that's that differentiator for us. I mean, at the end of the day, we have great fuel, we have great food, we have a great business, but it's the power of that associate journey and those associate touch points that really are that key differentiator for Wawa, and where we spend a bulk of our time just trying to understand and engage on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's so awesome to hear that. I mean, obviously we're talking about the customer journey, but then, sort of flipping that and thinking about that from the role of the associate and how they are actually interacting and how you learn from them as an organization to continually kind of improve there.
Yeah, a lot of companies spend a lot of time focusing on like the front of house activities, those really cool omni-channel shopping experiences. But I'll tell you, it falls short when you're not able to deliver on those things well, or when you don't have the kind of customer service engagement that you really want. And you can take it even so much further by just getting your associates excited and helping them understand why these things matter and why they're important. Our loyalty program has done well over the years, but by getting our associates involved in the customer experience and understanding the goals of the platform, we've seen tremendous increases in our loyalty program just by making sure that we're looking at that journey, looking at how we engage, looking at how we can get the right experience through our associates by involving them in that overall lens of delivery.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Todd, you've kind of hinted at this already in terms of the role that data plays within the sort of broader organization and your approach to omni-channel. I wonder if you can kind of give us a sense of some of the pieces, both from a operational and sort of consumer customer point of view, that you kind of view as mission critical with respect to that. And then I guess with that as the sort of foundation of the question, how do you kind of see that, or how do you distribute that in the right way across the organization? And then how does that kind of inform the way you think about things in a more strategic way as well?
To be honest on this one, I think this is an area where we're still maturing. This is an area where I think a lot of companies are still kind of figuring a lot of these pieces out, because we haven't necessarily been built on a foundation of utilizing customer data as well as we could. So this has been really an area of focus for the last couple of years, and will be an ongoing area of focus for us. So there's so many data points that you can capture. What are the true data points that matter? That's been a lot of our soul searching and a lot of our time spent. A lot of it is, at the highest level, what's your overall customer satisfaction with the different parts of your journey? What is the kind of areas of opportunity, the friction points with a current journey, or with the multitude of journeys that you have going on? Those are kind of the basics. Then there comes into the operational metrics around certain services. So we rolled out curbside, last year. What is our time to car? What is our number of sandwiches that are delivered that are at the quality that the customer expects, or or do we deliver all the items that are expected? Like looking at the quality of service, the time to car, the overall repeat usage of a service, and looking at things like basket size, looking at basket mix. There's a variety of things that we look at. So it really depends on what are the core features of the initiatives we're rolling out. What are the things that we can also highlight to help our associates and our operation partners help champion these things? Because I think that's where a lot of companies go a little wrong, is there's kind of a separation between, we'll say, the marketing team and the operations team. We really look at it as a way of what are the right things that we can also put out there that we can share as a core metric between the two teams, that allows us to have really those everyday champions at the store level to help us kind of really focus in on some of those key metrics. So there's a lot of things like that we will share. So again, there's like holistic metrics, there are service metrics, there are the dual ownership metrics that we put in place to really kind of, again, get people excited and really champion these services as we roll them out, and to also give us feedback so we can continuously hone our journeys and our work and kind of our overall data approach. And I would say that even goes within kind of our headquarters as well too, is like, again, there's a lot of ways that we want to be very careful with customer data. There's lots of ways that we want to be able to model it in certain ways. There's a lot of behaviors and training that we do internally to make sure that we're being good stewards of the data, that we're focusing on the right KPIs, that we're training on the right way to use. But a lot of it also is like, how can we kind of rally the troops around the core, and how can we really understand what are the ones that are going to really move the business, but also move the customer experience? Because it's really about that value exchange, to say, like, we're getting this data, how can we be good custodians of it, but also how can we drive maximum customer impact and business impact? And that value exchange is an important conversation that we have on a regular basis at Wawa.
Yeah, I love that idea in terms of, it is it is very much an exchange between the consumer and the business, and figuring out exactly like, you don't need to capture everything, but there are some critical things, and how do you deliver on that? And then I love that sort of idea of using that information to sort of continually learn and improve as a business as well.